connected to iPhone.
Me telling them to do right, but the wrong, they won't.
Yo, Daff. What up? I just seen your comment too, man. Let me hear me turn the stream on. I was just trying to set it up too when I read your comment. I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick. I am thirsty.
Unto all who live and breathe,
Art in the dark, what's up, bro?
this is Earth. And all that we know as a species is born of it. The wisdom found in the entire collection of man is nearly 10,000 years old. And in this wisdom is found the reality that it is not. There are great stone structures found all over the world. There are magnificent pyramids and traces and pictorials of alien beings. There is a knowledge that ancient man wrote of all these things, a knowledge that we do not have today. Answers we have no knowledge of. Why are we here? What is our purpose? And what happens when we die? In this series, you will hear a lost knowledge that has not been spoken on this planet for more than 7,000 years. The missing link between the history of man and the history of our lost knowledge is finally found. In this first invitation, we will uncover the knowledge of the Great Pyramid of Egypt and the Tree of Life. And more importantly, what happens when we die. It is the Age of Enlightenment, and this is invitation number 1 to the lost knowledge of the gods.
Shit, the fuck they talking about? Lost knowledge of the gods. Prove it.
Out of the sands of Egypt stands a mystery, an enigma, and the greatest man-made structure ever erected on the earth. It is the most powerful symbol of intellect and achievement ever to be found in the ancient world. A symbol so great, it confounds all who gaze upon it. The Aztecs, the Mayans, and the Egyptians have all created pyramids, and all across the globe, their works rise from the earth as a testimony to their skill and brilliance. The pyramid represented something very important to the ancient peoples of the world. But as with all things born of this earth, its knowledge will live and then die. What was so important about the shape of the pyramid? And why were they built all over the world? What were the ancients trying to tell us? And what does it all mean? All of these questions have answers, and all of our desires to find them can be fulfilled. They can all be found in one stone, one land, and in one place. The land of Egypt. It rises from the earth and claims dominion over a man and his lands. It stands as a testimony to the stars of heaven and also a testimony to the continuing legacy of intellect lost. The Pyramid of Egypt is the most recognizable stone structure in the world, and it is called the Giza Pyramid, Khufu's pyramid, and the most enduring of all, the Great Pyramid. A monumental structure equaled only by the understanding of its true meaning, which has eluded mankind for nearly 5,000 years. Today we are living in the age of enlightenment and revelation, and sadly, we have not even paused or even stopped to notice. All things that were once hidden from us are now coming to light. And there, standing in line with all the other great mysteries of the age, is the revealing of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. The Pyramid of Egypt tells a powerful ancient tale which will in turn answer every question we have ever had about God, life, and the afterlife. For nearly 10,000 years, you will come to find that what the Egyptians are telling us is so beautiful, so powerful, and so divine that we as a species are unworthy of it. It rises from the earth and towers over all the achievements of man. It is a masterwork of mathematics and engineering skill to which there is no equal. And although there are 3 pyramids of Egypt, there is only one of whom the gods did bless: the Great Pyramid. It was built circa 4000 BC, and although the world teaches that it was built by slaves, the reality is that it was not. It was built by free men and free women from all over the land of Egypt. All labored and gave of themselves freely and willingly, for they believed the work that they had set to purpose was of a divine purpose. The people of Egypt built the pyramids as a testimony to both man and beast. The building of the Great Pyramid served as a testament to their great land and a testimony to the heavens and the stars above. The Great Pyramid was the first pyramid built in Egypt, and the knowledge of its purpose lived, but only briefly, and only in the time of its creation. The 3 pyramids of Giza are perfectly aligned with the constellation of Orion, and although most scholars believe it to be the purpose of their creation, they are all wrong. The constellation of Orion is not why they were built. The constellation of Orion is only a clue. A clue measured in stone that they wanted their descendants to find. And today, we are their descendants. Every ancient megalithic stone structure created around the world wasn't created for the ancients. They were created for us. Everything ancient man created in stone was made for the next generation of man on the earth. They built these great stone structures to endure the ravages of time and the mayhem of Earth's catastrophes, and they did this for only one purpose. They made them for us. The civilizations of mankind will always rise and fall, and so too does their knowledge. When the Egyptians built the pyramid, they built it to tell us a story, and they built it to show us the way. And the way is in the stars, and not in the stars of Orion, but greater stars, larger stars, and more importantly, heavenly stars. To understand the Great Pyramid of Egypt, all one has to do is have a fundamental understanding of Egyptian hieroglyphs. When you understand the hieroglyph, you will understand the pyramid. To decipher the code of the pyramid, all one has to do is understand 2 hieroglyphs. The first is a simple square, and the other is a circle with an X in the center. When you understand these 2 hieroglyphs, you will understand the pyramid. When we look upon the pyramid from the ground, we marvel at its sheer magnitude and scope. We are humbled by its great and expansive reach across the desert floor. These are all true. But to truly unlock the real meaning of the Great Pyramid, you must understand that the pyramid wasn't made just to be viewed from the ground. It was made to be viewed from above. Just as the 3 pyramids look to the stars above, so too do the 3 stars above look down upon the 3 pyramids below. With this clue, you find the true meaning of the Great Pyramid, and unlocking its code will change the entire world. When looking at the Great Pyramid from above, you can see the first hieroglyph, a square, made up of a granite base of stone at the bottom of the pyramid. It is at the base of the pyramid where we find our first clues. Each of the stone blocks at the base of the pyramid stretch in length from end to end in equal measurement on all 4 sides. The measurements are 365.25 Egyptian cubits. And here is our most illuminating clue. The 365.25 Egyptian cubits represent the solar year counted on Earth. To the ancients, the sun moved around the Earth 365.25 days to make a year. This is the first clue. The second is found in the circumference of the pyramid, which is 365.2.5 circumferential cubits. These 2 references to the sun and a year will display themselves in the revealing of the pyramid. And when you understand it, you will understand it all. When looking at the pyramid from above, you see a rectangle shape with an X in the center,
What are we listening
which
to?
divides the pyramid into 4 quarters and 4 sections. If you look,
The Knowledge of the Forever Time, episode 1. I never listened to this before. Just some more. I just love pyramid theories because there are so many theories and explanations on how they were built, what they were for, who built them. Was it slaves? Was it Freemasons? Were the original builders of the pyramid dark-skinned Africans? Were they Arabs? Were they? And there's so many different things to discuss about the Giza Plateau, the construction of the pyramids, their origins, the builders, and what they were actually used for. And it fascinates me. I can never get enough of this. I can listen to Egyptian lectures all day. All day. A lot of people are saying the same thing. The one thing that I already disagree with this, he said, the Great Plateau is dated to 4500 BC. Well, that's basically 6,000 years. So, 45 and then plus the 2,000 years that we're in now, so 6,000 years. But there, some archaeologists say that, the Sphinx itself is fucking 12,000 years old, 14,000 years old, and the pyramids are at least, 8, 9, 10,000 years old, but people are saying they're only 6. Some people say the pyramids are 10,000 years old, and they're pushing this history further back as far, for the spark of civilization, such a grand civilization with so much wealth of knowledge. People are saying, well, things couldn't happen that far back. Like, well, when you think of the story of Atlantis, and try to date these epochs, only way you can just decipher this shit is, the knowledge that built the pyramids is older than 6,000 years old. You know what I'm saying? It probably took fucking 6,000 years just to acquire such knowledge to build such a structure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Christopher, what's up, yo? But yeah, just yeah, I've kind of heard that. I depicted that before I heard that. There were like fueling stations or, kind of like Wi-Fi towers where you would just get, energy from it. And so I did a painting of Solomon's temple. It was from a Bible picture reference that I had, and it was a black and white photo. So I tried to add some color to it, and then I added like some extra things in there that weren't even in the image that I was using for the source reference, like some pyramids. So it's this painting of the temple, and then in the background I put two pyramids, and then on one pyramid the capstone is glowing white, and there's like a beam of light shooting out the top of the pyramid. In the background you can see the moon, and you can see another planet. Now this is, like I say, I just kind of dreamt this shit up before I ever heard of the fueling station hypothesis. And once I did hear the hypothesis, the image that was shown was very, very similar to the white capstone with light coming out of it that I actually depicted in one of my paintings. But that was something else that I always thought too, like when you hear about the queen chambers and the king chambers and how they're angled and shit like that, it's like this was some kind of, like you say, some kind of nuclear reactor or some kind of other shit, a power source, some kind of generator of some sort. And yeah, so I was already on that hypothesis. And then I seen this other lecture, and I was like, oh shit, and the picture that they showed looked very, very similar to the picture that I painted. It's fucking crazy. It's one of those moments like, holy shit. Am I psychic? Was that kind of some divine knowledge just gifted to me?
Look at just the outer base, you will see it's a simple square. And the square is a hieroglyph which means space, constellations, and cosmos. What gives it meaning is the consistent measurement of the sun around it. Each side of the pyramid shows the sun's movement in the cosmos. The sun moves around the base of the pyramid, each side by side and year by year, 365.25 days a year. This means the pyramid was created to reflect something that is found in the cosmos or in the constellations of space. What is different about this hieroglyph is that there are two hieroglyphs laying one upon the other. The first hieroglyph, a square, represents space, constellations, and cosmos. The second hieroglyph, a circle with an X in the center, represents a land, a place, or a city. When looking at the pyramid from above, you will see the two hieroglyphs laying one upon the other. The view from above will show a square, which means cosmos.
Yeah, they was on some heavy dope. Opening up that pineal gland, that third eye, and that shit gave them insight to fucking telepathy, levitation, teleportation, you know what I'm saying? All kind of shit like that, man. The motherfucking pyramids might have been some kind of motherfucking teleportation device. You never know, man. You never know what that shit was used for. And the craziest thing to me is, how was this knowledge lost? Why don't we know? Why don't we know what it's used for? Why don't we know exactly what these people did? In just a couple thousand years. I mean, the structure is still there. I can see if it was, if the structure had completely crumbled and there was barely anything left of it for us to fucking study. But these structures are massive, huge. Why don't we fucking know? What happened to that knowledge? Who destroyed that knowledge? Who took it away? How was it lost? To the point where we can't understand how they made a building. Rocket Man, Rocket Man. You know that shit. Eminem called Elton John a faggot, and Elton John still did a song with Eminem. That's a man's man. A-Rod. And that's what it is, yo. Species with amnesia. Like, we really, really don't know. And that's the whole thing. Like, the Egyptians knew. I think that we have had humans on this earth that knew for a fact what is God, where did we come from, and where do we go. And I think there was actual proof and actual facts that have existed, that have been known to us. And now, so, like I say once again, somehow we've bumped, as a species, we've bumped our head and contracted this enormous case of amnesia, and nobody can remember, like, where our consciousness comes from. Where does our consciousness go when it leaves? And the Egyptians had this shit figured out, yo. They had that figured out on top of crazy ass astrological mathematics. You know what I'm saying? They had physical, material science down pat. And then they had esoteric spiritual science down pat. And they merged both of them into a reality. It was their fucking life. It wasn't like a religion or a certain practice. That was just life for them, to know that they were spiritual beings and to have this understanding of the supreme mathematics. And then to have all that shit just fucking lost. It's fucking sad as shit, yo. 4,000 years later, we're trying to figure out how they built the shit. We forget what the hell they were used for. What is it used for? We can't even figure out how they made this shit, how they put the stones together. I would try DMT, but I've never actually been able to get my hands on any of it. Yeah, somebody may have bumped us on the head. You know what I'm saying? When they came down and crushed that Tower of Babel, dispersed everybody across the face of the earth, and changed everybody's tongue so we couldn't communicate with each other anymore. I think there's some shit to that story, the Tower of Babel, and I think that's where we lost a lot of our knowledge, because in that story, we were all working in unification to build a massive structure to the heavens. And the God said, screw you, humans, and broke that shit all down. And now I'll confuse your tongues and you can't understand each other.
Cosmos. And within the square is an X dividing the 4 quarters of the pyramids. The brilliance is found in the measure, because the circumference at the base of the pyramid creates a solar circle of 3652.5. When you place this circular measurement upon the X in the square of the cosmos, you will get a message. The Egyptians are telling us that there is something in the cosmos that is important to all of us. A land, a place, or a city in the constellations of space. And this place was so important to the ancients that they spent nearly 20 years building it, so that one day we would know what it means.
The tower,
and that one day
Tower of Babel,
we would understand what place, land, or city is resting in the cosmos, and how do we find it. What opens the meaning of the Great Pyramid of Egypt is curiously found within its walls. Within the pyramid are a king's chamber and a queen's chamber. The king's chamber sets the marker for clues, for within the king's chamber are pyramid inches, which measure wall to wall 365.25 inches. However, it is the queen's chamber which illuminates the mind, because the queen's measurements in inches are not found on the floors or on the walls, but instead, it's found in its ascending measurement. Curiously, from the floor to the ceiling is 364 pyramid inches, and that is the clue.
Bonkers Peach, are you a man? Are you a man yourself? Do you not like titties? Do you not like boobs? Are you in a relationship? Do you have a girlfriend? Do you suck her breast? You ever heard of the saying, once a man, twice a child? Do you know what spiritual nourishment is? Do you know what a true love connection is? Why is it so fucking funny? What's so LOL about this shit? Why is it laughing my ass off? Because they're being affectionate with each other. So what? Me and my girl walking around the house naked. Oh, she's on the couch. I'll just lay on her lap. I might suck on her boob. Yeah, I don't. Is she breastfeeding him? Why is he sucking her titty? Like, so what? Does it offend you? Does it offend you? Change the channel. And that's the thing that I see about art, yo. That's one thing. When I meet other artists and I look into their work, I don't ask them why. Why is that tree blue? Why did you paint that plate white? Obviously, there is a meaning behind that shit. Obviously, they did it for a reason. And there is something to gain from it. Some kind of subliminal message the artist wants the viewer to pick up on. So it's weird when people even question something instead of trying to analyze it for themselves and seeing if they can pull some type of meaning or understanding from it. My uncle always told me, you ain't got to ask a lot of questions. You can look, listen, and learn. Look, listen, and learn. And if you're perceptive enough, you'll perceive an answer without anyone telling you what the answer is, but you got to pay attention. Instead of jumping to a question that you could have answered your own self. First and foremost is art. There is no right and wrong to art, so art should never be questioned. I slip and fell, you know? Why? It's weird. I don't know. Some questions I do find weird, unnerving. Like, I don't know. Why? Why not? Why not? I could I could paint some fucking gangster gangbangers or some crackheads or something, but I'm just painting two beautiful people sharing a moment. People question that shit though. Why? Why is it that looks too nice? It looks too pleasing. It looks too relaxing. Black people aren't like that. Black people aren't really affectionate like that. They don't know what love and compassion is. Why is he suckling her boob like a babe? I thought all you niggers were gangbangers and drug dealers, and all your women were thoughts. Shouldn't she be out shaking her ass somewhere? Nah. A wise man didn't get wise by talking, but of listening. Arvid, what's up? I'm about to get on that Ghost Recon in a minute. As soon as I want to play around with the hair a little bit, and I got to get some more details on the edge of his beard. That beard line is really straight, But in reality, obviously his hair isn't in a straight line like that. And I keep talking my cigarette out. All right, let's get back to this Giza Plateau, Egyptian time. What's the name of this documentary? The Knowledge of the Forever Time, episode 1. This thing is 31 minutes long or something like that.
The pyramid base and the king's chamber represents the sun, and the queen's chamber represents the bride of the sun, the moon.
The moon.
And the moon followed a 364-day calendar in ancient Egypt. The number 364 was a very holy number to the Egyptians, and thus its usage indicates that we are looking for something that is very holy. That is the clue, and it means that we are looking for something in the cosmos which travels like the sun or the moon. And how we find it is not in its years, but in its degrees. We are looking for an ancient star which travels in a 364-degree path. And remarkably, this object is very easy to find. In ancient Sumer, Babylon, and Egypt, knowledge of the constellations and their astronomical charts were well known. So to find this mystery star was not hard to do at all. The star found in the search was called Enlil. And in the ancient astronomy of the Babylonians and the Egyptians, they marked that this star followed a...
Enlil? Well, I've heard that from the Sumerian Anunnaki tells that Enlil and Enki were the brothers and sister Anunnaki rulers who were sent to Earth by their father Anu to come here and help with the mining programs. And now they're saying that the Egyptians called a star Enlil. Interesting.
364-degree path. And what is most important about this star is that this star represented a god. The closer you get to the knowledge of this star, the closer you get to understanding the Egyptians and understanding all things. Where you find this star is where you find the end to the mystery of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. The Star of Enlil represented an ancient god of Sumer, Babylon, and Egypt. And this god is not alone. Enlil is accompanied by two other gods of the ancient world, Anu and Ea. These gods may seem foreign to you right now, but time will illuminate your understanding. These three gods represent the meaning of the three pyramids of Egypt, and they tell us why the Egyptians built the pyramids. The gods of the ancient world are not so ancient, because these three gods are still the gods of our world. The first god, whose name is Enlil, in time became Enlil, and Enlil became Elohim. The god Anu, which means creator or all-powerful, is today called God Almighty.
Anu is like,
and the third god was called Ea, which is pronounced Ea, and it became Yah, and Yah became Yahweh. Today, one of these stars is now named Moth Allah, as it is said to be the place where one met Allah. These three gods are the eternal gods of this earth, and when humanity was young, they came down to them and walked with them and taught them how to build and to write and to create. But more importantly, they taught them of the skies and from where they came. In these ancient star charts, we find the home of the gods of this earth, and they are all found near the Andromeda Galaxy. The home of the gods, Elohim, Yahweh, and the Creator, are all found as three separate stars. and each star is aligned in the cosmos as a constellation the Egyptians would call a pyramid constellation. We of our day would call this configuration of 3 stars a triangle or triangulum constellation. This triangle of the 3 gods is why the Egyptians built the pyramid, and why they chose the shape of the triangle or the pyramid. Many on earth believe the pyramids were made to honor pharaohs and queens. They were not. The pyramids were not made to honor men and women, but rather they were made to honor God. The gods can look down from the heavens and see what man has done, and they will know he honors them. And more importantly, it demonstrates that they remember all that they were taught about the stars and of the house where God dwells. The Great Pyramid of Egypt is the greatest altar ever erected to any god on the face of the earth. A simple and yet powerful gesture of praise, where one massive stone is laid upon another, even unto the heights of the heavens. It is from this work where all other religions give the same honor to their God. Every holy man from the birth of the pyramid until today would also honor their God in this same manner, by placing one stone upon another as an altar to their God. The magnificence of this knowledge is tempered by an equally astounding discovery adjacent to the house of God. There is another constellation of stars just below the house of God, and this constellation is the root of all understanding. The beginning of this understanding is found in the first civilization on earth, Sumeria. Dating back some 5,000 years, we find our first clues to the brilliance of ancient man.
And see, that's these discrepancies like this. So, like Sumeria, Babylon, Mesopotamia, and that area right there, that's not the fucking oldest civilization. I get tired of people saying that shit, yo. Southern Africa, motherfucking Ethiopia and Zimbabwe are older than fucking Sumeria, than the Sumer civilization. Period. Point blank. Period. They're tracing fucking Ethiopian cities, 10, 12,000 years. This motherfucker just said, oh, Sumer, we can trace back 5,000, 6,000 years. Once again, this shit is older than this. So anybody who think that Sumer and the Anunnaki story is the oldest shit that we can find on Earth, it's not fucking true. There's fucking older cities in fucking Ethiopia. Motherfucking anywhere in sub-Saharan Africa, man. Zimbabwe, like, there's fucking older structures than that shit. And they know this shit. But a lot of people don't want to give the credit to the fucking black man. Once again, there's a few archaeologists who are coming out and giving that credit, saying where all this knowledge really originated from. But it's not from fucking Turkey. It's not from goddamn Sumer or Babylon. It's not from Iraq, and it's not even from Egypt. The knowledge in Egypt originated way further south before it was ever in Egypt. Once again, that knowledge is the knowledge that it took to build the pyramid. It took thousands of years to build up to that point of having that knowledge. That shit is old as shit, and it comes from dark-skinned black Africans, not some fucking Middle Eastern ass motherfuckers in Sumer. Sorry. Yeah, he don't see it. Bonkers don't see it, but he's still in the stream. Okay. But you're still watching it. So, obviously, if that's your perception, then you don't see nothing wrong with a mother feeding a 30-year-old man. Because that's how you see it. Right? There is something strangely wrong with that. Because I'm not going to suck my mother's boob, but my lover, my wife, Yeah, that's something different. That's a different kind of connection. There's a different spiritual connection, a different bond, a different physical bond. You know, you must be a child. You can't understand that shit. You just a child, you know? You'll understand one day. But for some reason, it's intriguing enough for you to still stay here. And if you do have the perception of a mother breastfeeding her 30-year-old son, then you are fucked up in the head, my dude. You are seriously fucked up in the head. You need to really contemplate what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? You need to think before you speak or text. Because that's some fucked up shit to even cross your damn mind. You know them little, what's the name of that test? Where they fucking flash you ink blots and shit and say, what do you see? Yeah, I bet you'll say some fucked up shit. They'll put your ass in a fucking straitjacket. What do you see? I see a mother breastfeeding her 30-year-old son. Lock this man up. So somebody get that jacket. That's what he sees. Okay, come with us, son. We're going upstairs. We got a little room for you. A nice little white padded room, you know? Just to prove a point. Baby, come here. No, take that bra off. Sit on the couch. I'm about to do something real quick. Experiment. No, I'm just gonna lay back. What you take the bra? Ah, boo. This is nice. You know? Sucking and biting or two. Yeah. So you bite? Yeah. Oh my God. Never mind. I'm not even gonna get in a whole conversation, man. Look, man. Obviously, the context is it's over your head, bro. You know, but that's good because you're in the right room for this shit. You know, it's art and education. Maybe you'll blossom, you'll grow, you can mature a little bit, and you'll be able to understand the finer details and the concepts and the images that I like to display. You know what I'm saying? One day you'll grow into it, you know what I'm saying? Because you ain't always wear a size 10 shoe. You had a little foot one time, but your foot had to get bigger and grow into a man foot, and now you can walk like a man. I'm going to help you get big shoes. Put your big boy pants on.
In Sumerian reliefs, we find pictograms of angelic beings giving honor to a very strange and underdeveloped tree. In ancient Babylon, we also find pictograms of angelic beings attending to a tree of very unusual design. In ancient Egypt, we also find the god Osiris and the goddess Isis giving and receiving blessing while standing in a very peculiar-looking tree. These pictograms created by the ancients were pictures of life as they knew it, and these pictograms were not made to be art. They serve as a written record of what they saw in their day on this earth. The true appreciation of these pictograms is found in what is actually being seen in each relief. They all tell the same story of a God symbol above an eccentric-looking tree with angels around it. All the pictures of trees in Sumeria, Egypt, and Babylon look very unusual, and their branches seem to have strange bulb-like flowers. The reason these trees look so unusual and so bizarre is because they are not really trees at all. To begin to grasp this precious knowledge, all one has to do is look for the angels and the God symbol, which is always above the tree. These pictograms give us a clue as to why the tree is found all over the ancient world, and why the Egyptians used the tree to create the Great Pyramid. The tree is always depicted beneath God, and we now know where the house of God is found. If we look to the triangulum constellation of the three gods, we will find that right beneath the God of creation is a constellation of stars called the Tree of Life. The Great Pyramid was built to honor God, but buried within its construction is one of its greatest secrets. The secret is the fact that the pyramid was created for the gods and the Tree of Life. The reason the pictogram shows gods and angels attending to the Tree of Life is because it is where all life comes from. It is the birthplace of mankind, and it is where the Creator created his first man. This knowledge has been lost for thousands of years, and it is the Great Pyramid of Egypt which reveals its true glory. The Great Pyramid of Egypt is replete with markers and clues for this generation to find. We know the pyramid was made as a triangle to honor the constellation of our God. But why so many stones? That is the clue which truly unravels the mystery. Each stone weighs 2.5 tons, and a completed pyramid used a total of 2.5 million stones. Why 2.5? 2.5 tons, 2.5 million stones. The Egyptians were sending us a message, and the message is that there is a place, land, or city in the cosmos, and they are telling us how to get there. At the base of the pyramid, there are equal measurements of 365.25 cubits all around the pyramid. This clue is left to us to indicate an accurate time of the sun's travel in the cosmos. The sun travels around the cosmos 365.25 days a year, and each block of stone represents 1 solar year. The pyramid is telling us that there is something in the cosmos that we should see, and that it is 2.5 million Egyptian stones from the earth. Each stone represents 1 sun year. So in order to find the Tree of Life in the cosmos, the pyramid is telling us it has a distance of 2.5 million sun years from the earth. An ancient journey to the constellation of the Tree of Life would take the Egyptians 2.5 million sun years to reach it. The Egyptians would call this expanse of travel sun years, but we of our tongue would say it would take us 2.5 million light years to reach it. If you search the constellation maps, you will find the distance from the Earth and our galaxy to Andromeda and the Tree of Life is exactly 2.5 million light years from Earth. To confirm this conception, all one has to do is look at these Babylonian reliefs. In these reliefs, they show angels honoring a strange tree with branches yielding 29 equally strange flowers. In actuality, those are not flowers hanging from the Tree of Life at all. No, not flowers. They are actually stars, and 29 in all. If you count the stars in the constellation of the Tree of Life, you will find, just as in this pictogram, there are exactly 29 stars. It is the constellation of the Tree of Life, and it is the place of our birth. It is where we were born and where we were made. The first man and the first woman sing a song of our birth, and our birth is born in the understanding of our origins and from whence we've come. An understanding that has been here for nearly 5,000 years, locked away within finely cut and measured blocks of stone. It is the place of our birth and the house of our God, and what knowledge is greater than this? We as a people now know where the gods dwell, and also where the kingdom of our Creator lives. And we as a species now know the name of this place that is found in the constellations of the cosmos, and we now know it is called heaven. We have lived to see our faith fulfilled and our dreams of heaven realized. We now know the distance and the measure that leads to heaven and the kingdom of God. We now know where the throne of Almighty God rests and the city within where the angels reside. It is the beauty of intellect and the power of reason, and none of these things would ever be were it not for the pyramid. A debt of gratitude to the flesh and bone and the chisel and stone. For the work of Egypt is a masterwork, and a work for the master. In these days, we will dream of this place and all the secrets it holds. We will wonder in the fantasy found in its reality, and even as we wonder, we will aspire to go there. And when the years have passed and mankind has grown and matured, we will set our hearts on this place that is found in the stars. However, when we are able to leap into the cosmos and to traverse the heavens and the stars at will, it is then that we must fully understand that this beautiful knowledge and this precious wisdom comes with only one warning. Do not enter.
What do you guys think about that theory? It's a roadmap to get to, well, that's what Robert Brevall says, and I like listening to him. I think he has a lot of it right. And he says basically the same thing. The Giza Plateau is a star map. The measurements, the alignments, all the numbers involved with the whole building of that complex is some kind of celestial star map, and it is a guide to somewhere. And this guy just says, well, it's the roadmap to heaven. That's crazy. I don't know. It's okay. The roadmap to heaven. All the pop-ups. Thank you. They sure make me look. All right, caught that one. The Rorschach test. Oh crap! I just got paint on my workout pants. That's why I'm gonna be wearing these sweatpants in here, man. I get paint on everything I wear. That shit come in the studio, it's gonna get paint on it. Damn. Ah, fuck it. Alright, so what was next? The Tower of Babel. Alright, I'll be there in a minute, Arvid. Hey, thanks for coming in here and checking me out, man. I should have been talking more, but it is art and education, so I did want to get some work done on this canvas. But yeah, man, save me a spot, man. Give me like, how long I've been here? An hour? Give me like another 30 minutes, man. I'll come down and hop on the game, yo, and I'll play with you for a while. I'm almost at level 35, too. I'm at level 32 and a half or almost. I want to get to level 35 tonight, yo, so I can unlock all the rest of the classes. So messed up, man.
A certain amount of that concerned Adam was a real person living in a real world, and so is Nimrod. Nimrod shows up not only in the Bible, but he shows up in occult literature. He's all over the place.
So after the flood, we end up with this character Nimrod. I call him the post-flood man of many names. And in the two timeline charts that I developed regarding that time period, the 350 post-flood years of Noah's life, I start tracing, who came from who and the overlaps. It is neat. I guess Zach has a graphic also showing the overlaps of who lived, at the same time as somebody else. And it is really interesting when you see it visually, who they had access to for information. And after I did this timeline chart right here, I wanted to unpack that a little bit more. And I made this one because I realized there are two characters that show up about the same time. Nimrod shows up first, and then Abraham, as Abram. And they are big-time rivals. I mean, this is where really, L.A. Marzulli has a book called The Cosmic Chess Match. And the idea behind the book is basically, God makes a move, the devil makes a move. This whole move and counter move kind of cosmic chess match taking place. And I thought that was a brilliant way of illustrating it, this whole idea of a cosmic chess match. These are the two main players on the board, as far as I'm concerned. Nimrod and Abraham. And of course, you have the Tower of Babel. Nimrod creates the Tower of Babel, and we see in Genesis 11 that the whole earth was of one language. They're all gathered together in the plains of Shinar, and they're building this thing. And it says in King James, "Let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." And it says that God comes down there, he checks out what they're doing, he gets upset about it, and he makes a statement. He says, nothing will be restrained from that which they have imagined to do. That's an extraordinary statement. He's not just saying, oh no, they know how to build buildings. That's scary. If you get into what they had actually imagined to do, and we will in a second here, you can understand why God did what he did. Now, part of what they intended to do was kill God, which I don't believe is possible. Not possible to kill God, but the other things that they intended to do, his statement right there seems to imply that it was at least theoretically possible for them to do so. Now, if you've listened to any of my previous teachings prior to about 2.5 years ago, regarding the Tower of Babel, I always said it was not about height, right? I said, if it was really about height, if you're trying to build a tall tower to get it to, and start on a mountain or something, you don't build it in the plains. I mean, that'd be stupid, right? So therefore, it must be a Stargate, right? They're trying to rend the veil, they're creating a Stargate so they can go from this realm and go through the Stargate and get into heaven. And there are a lot of people out there still teaching that. I taught it and was pretty passionate about it. And then it's just like this, walking in Torah. Before we should have BT before Christ, but before Torah, BT, right? In my BT life, there's so many things that we read right past, read right over. I've even underlined and annotated stuff and didn't get it. And then, after Torah, I look at it and go, wow, how did I miss that? Well, I mean, it's the same thing with some of this other stuff that I'm looking at here. And I've even published the book. I got Jubilees back there and some of these other ones. And I look in these things for more detail about the Tower of Babel and see things like this. And they built it 43 years they were building it. It also says there's about 600,000 men at the time. So there's a pretty decent population. Its breadth was 203 bricks, and the height of a brick was a third of one. Its height amounted to 5,433 cubits and 2 palms. the extent of one wall was 13 stades, and of the other 30, in Jubilees 10:21. Note, 5,433 cubits equals 8,150 feet. Another guy I stumbled across, his research, Alfred Edersheim, wrote a book, Bible History, Old Testament, chapter 8. He says, of the magnificence of Babel, the capital of the empire of Nimrod, the mighty hunter, it is difficult to convey an adequate conception without entering into details foreign to our purpose. But some idea of it may be formed from its extent, which according to the lowest computation covered no less than 100 square miles. We're talking the base of the tower. While the highest computation would make it over 200 square miles. Well, now all of a sudden I'm going, well, no wonder they built it in the plains of Shinar. They needed a big enough space to build a base for a building that big. That's one huge structure. Joshua even goes so far to tell you that it took a year to get to the top of the thing. And they were building, making the bricks and stuff like that. And if a brick fell, man, everybody was upset. They would mourn the brick. But if a dude fell off, a guy fell down, nobody cared. Because it was a big labor that they were going through there. And it says in the Joshua account, they imagined in their hearts to war against him and to ascend into heaven. Goes into greater detail and says all these people and all their families divided themselves into three parts. The first said, we will ascend heaven and fight against him. The second said, we will ascend to heaven and place our own gods there and serve them. And the third part said, we will ascend to heaven and smite him with bows and spears. And God knew their works and all their evil thoughts, and he saw the city and the tower which they were building. And then it goes on to say how he was upset about it and confounds their language. So their plan was, and they had three camps to get in there and take out the angels, take out the throne room, get rid of God and set up their own gods, and presumably Nimrod to be king of the everything. So we pick up in Genesis, right? He confounds the languages. Now, if you look through lots of ancient Hebrew literature, you'll see that they believe that there were 70 different languages that came out of the Tower of Babel. 70 different nations. I believe Hebrew was the original language, the language of God, and I believe through Abraham, the language of Hebrew was retained. And then you got 69 other people groups speaking 69 other languages. And in the cosmic chess match scenario, I see sort of like this vision of God saying to Satan, okay, you want to take me on? Fine. I'll give you 69, I'll take one, give it your best shot. And then you have all these people going off with different languages, 69 different languages, talking about the same guy who was their former leader, but now his character becomes known by a number of different names through different cultures. These are just a few. Gilgamesh, Baal, Melkart, Adonis, Dumuzi, Dionysus, Bacchus, Mithra, Orion, Apollo, Tammuz, Osiris. And when you study these characters, and there are others out there, and I got to give credit where credit is due, Peter Goodgame was the first person that I read to put a lot of these parallels together and showing the synchronicities and stuff, and that's what's got me started down the path. Once I went down that path, you start seeing characteristics of these gods, and many of them are almost identical. And you start saying, well, they're too similar to not be the same, and even in the way they're depicted often. So these are just a few that I tend to focus on. And I believe this helps us to identify the beast. Now, this, thus saith the Lord, this is thus thinketh Rob, looking at the text. Because I believe the scriptures tell us everything we need to know. Amos 3:7, God says, I'm not going to do anything except to tell the prophets first what I'm going to do. So you have Yeshua saying that the last days are going to be such that there's never been a time like it, and there never will be a time ever again like it. It's the most significant time in all of human history, the end times. So do you think he's going to leave us hanging concerning the identity of the characters that are going to play a part in the last days? I don't. I think he's going to tell us exactly who we're dealing with. So that's the premise that I launched my research with, and takes us to a section I call Identifying the Beast. And there are lots of scriptures that talk about the end times tyrant, the Assyrian, the beast, the lawless one, the Antichrist. I'm going to kind of work backwards. Look at Revelation 17, 8 through 11. The beast that thou sawest was and is not and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Stop. Where does the beast come from?
Yo, Airborne, what up, yo?
So he's not coming from Hawaii or Kenya or the United Nations or New York or the Vatican. How many have you heard one or all of those is where the beast is, the Antichrist is coming? He's coming from the European Union. He's coming from the Vatican. He's coming from Kenya. Everybody knows Obama's the Antichrist. I mean, we have a very Amero-centric view of prophecy sometimes. It's like every president we've had is a candidate for the Antichrist. I mean, I don't vote. I don't believe in the system. If you see my Babylon Rising material, you know why. It's just the whole thing's rigged for one thing. But I was kind of just sitting back going, I wonder what's going to happen if Hillary gets in. Because I want to see all the eschatology guys out there tap dancing to explain why she's going to be the Antichrist. Because somebody's going to do it. Our president's always got to be the Antichrist. It says he's coming from the bottomless pit. I'm not going to look anywhere else but there. That's what the scriptures say. This is an open book test. Where does the beast come from? The bottomless pit. Okay. And he will go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. That's interesting. We see that a few times, don't we? The one who was and is not and yet shall be. How is Yeshua referred to in the beginning of the book? The one who was and is to come. So we have an antithesis here. The one who was and is not, but yet shall be. And here's the mind that has wisdom. The 7 heads, we've got this weird beast. This is one of those situations where I believe if it's going to speak in allegorical, metaphorical, symbolic terms, you need to, look at it and see, does a character show up to explain it? Otherwise, can I take it literally or should I take it as a metaphor? Well, here we've got a symbol. We've got this beast with 7 heads. You have this angel showing up to explain it. He says the beast that he had seen, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. We've just been given an enormous amount of detail to understand who this character is right here. Now, you'll notice it says kings. That's because the word that's used there is the word, the word in English, kings, is basileus, Strong's number 935. It's defined as a king, ruler, emperor, etc. John did not use the closely related word basileia, Strong's number 932, which means a kingship, sovereignty, kingdom. A lot of people who teach on end times always want to make this kingdom. These are 7 kingdoms. It says kings. Use the word for kings, individuals, people. 5 people have fallen. Yes, now people rule kingdoms. So when they fell, maybe their kingdoms fell. But the focus here is on 5 people because we're trying to identify the beast, who is an 8th, but is of the 7, right? Because he was, is not currently, but yet shall be. So thinking about people throughout biblical history who had Antichrist-like characteristics, Peter Goodgame put together a list that after I looked through it and saw his reasoning for it, agreed with, and with slight variations, but he reasoned 5 had fallen. Thinking about people in the Bible that have Antichrist-like characteristics, you have Nimrod, obviously. He creates a one world, the New World Order, there's nothing new about it. It's just a rerun, especially when you consider everything about the New World Order and the all-seeing eye and the back of your dollar bill and all of that stuff, all goes back to worship of Osiris. Secret societies are all about Osiris. And if Osiris is Nimrod, well, there you go. There's nothing new under the sun. He's obviously a great type for Antichrist. The Pharaoh of Egypt at the time of the Exodus thought himself to be a god, decided to wipe out God's people. A candidate. Sennacherib, same thing, a Syrian, thought himself a god, decided to try to wipe out God's people. The angel, he goes home, and the angel of the Lord wipes out, I think it was 180,000 troops in one night or something.
Yo,
like
ain't nothing but a G
King
thing,
of Tyre, you start reading about
baby.
him, it starts off talking about a man, but then the description spins off into characteristics of
Cali
Satan.
girls make me go crazy.
So clearly he has some kind of affiliation with the devil. Antiochus Epiphanes, now he would be in, depending on your Bible, would be in what, if you have your 66 book, King James, you would say it's in the intertestament period. If you have the original King James, which had 80 books, you can read the Maccabees and see that he is there as a character who, if you know the account, he went into the temple and set up a statue of Zeus on December 25th, incidentally, offered up a pig. And actually Maccabees, I think it's 1 Maccabees 4, if I'm not mistaken, tells you point blank that the act of bringing a pig into the temple and sacrificing it there was called the abomination of desolation. That's what it's called. Bringing a pig into the temple. And as soon as we were reading this, Sheila says to me, she goes, wow. So what does that mean if we bring pig into our temple? Just food for thought. Alexander the Great is another interesting character that I could consider as an alternative to number 5. You look at his life, what he did. He's the he-goat in the book of Daniel. And it says that he has a little horn between his eyes. And the little horn is the first king. I'm going, well, what's the first king? It was not the first king of Greece or anything else at that time. If it's representing the first king that we have any record of, biblically speaking, is Nimrod. So it seems that he had done whatever
I'm always
he did
open to
in
suggestions.
a similar rebellious fashion as Nimrod, to me anyway. The one that now is, at the time of John, that depends on when you think is, as Bill Clinton would say. What's the definition of is? Really, dude? That depends on when you think John wrote the book of Revelation. Some people believe that he wrote it before the destruction of the temple. Some people believe that he wrote it after the destruction of the temple. 90 AD is what I was raised to believe. Either way, you end up with a Caesar. It's either Nero or Domitian. Either one are good candidates. They always thought they were gods and certainly persecuted God's people. And then we read about one that will come, but his reign will be short. And I think a reasonable case could be made for Adolf Hitler. And I think a lot of people that lived during that time probably thought they were living in the tribulation. Speculation, of course. Let's look at Revelation 13 now. Somebody mentioned the deadly wound. Well, we got to keep this all in the same context. We're talking about the beast here. It says, and I saw one of the heads of the beast with 7 heads, as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Okay, so if we accept this list as a reasonable list for what's spoken of in Revelation 17, let's see who had a mortal head wound. Well, Nimrod did. According to Joshua, Esau cut his head off. That's a head wound. Pharaoh at the time of Egypt did not. Sennacherib did not. King of Tyre did not. Antiochus Epiphanes, no. Alexander the Great, no. Nero, sort of. It's said that he stabbed himself in the throat, and by the Hebrew reckoning, you might consider that part of the head proper. So let's, for the sake of argument, say that he's a candidate. And according to history, supposedly Hitler shot himself in the head, although recent forensic evidence says otherwise at the scope.
Yeah, but I stream from my crib, so I'm home, my girlfriend's home. And there's like one person, I actually painted her, and she's cool as shit, yo. And I think that she would make a pretty good co-host and to help out so that there is always some interaction with the viewers. And I've been thinking about that, yo. Actually, I talked to this one guy. He's a videographer, and it has me thinking about trying to like format this show like some real shit, like, and trying to make something out of it. There's a couple of YouTube shows that only last for a few years, but people actually, are able to make it their own production. And some people are like the last chick. Oh man, what's the brown skinned chick that fucking the comedy chick, yo? She's always on YouTube and Instagram. Jess Funny. I think her name is Jess something, yo. Yo, Jess, and that's how she got on, and now I seen one of her other little streams, and she was like, her and her homie in Syracuse, New York, she about to get ready to go do a live comedy show, come get the tickets and everything, you know what I'm saying? And she ain't even from up this way. I think she from down south somewhere. Then I seen her, she was in North Carolina doing shows, and that's just because she worked hard at that shit, man, and getting her own self out there, promoting herself, and, you know what I'm saying, having a strong team of people who believe in her dream and shit. And I think, that's just it. Like, for one, the culture with art isn't that big right now. People focus on a lot of other shit. And for two, just trying to reach people is difficult in itself. Having help is always good. Actually being able to set up a better, more true television like format would help a lot. I got somebody approached me about doing a fucking TV show. Viceland Viceland TV sent me an email saying that they had a concept for an art show, and they broke down the whole format of it. And when I read it, I was like, "That's what I'm doing." And in the email that the lady sent me, she was like, "I seen you send me your stuff. The show we want to do." She was like, "You're basically doing the show." And so I had an interview with her. And I signed something called a holding agreement where the network said, okay, we're not going to really do anything right now, but, for the next 12 months, you can't audition for any other network, or, you can't, like, submit interviews or anything for any other television shows or anything like that. They kind of got me locked in with Viceland TV until they figure out if they're going to go run with this show or not. And if they don't, oh well, who cares, you know what I'm saying? It's not like it's a big deal. I think the biggest deal is, like, they approached me. I didn't submit any kind of anything. I ain't do shit except what I'm doing right now. I ain't do nothing to get a fucking TV channel to come talk to me, yo. But they did, you know what I'm saying? They sent me a couple emails, and I had a Skype interview with one of the lower level producers. And I found that amazing in itself. Like, yo, fucking Viceland TV stepped up. Like, yo, we like your shit. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. I mean, they're a new channel. I don't even watch Viceland. But as soon as I got the emails, I was like questioning that shit. Like, who the fuck? What is this? And I looked up Viceland, and then I looked at some of the programs that they have on their show. They got like a weed show. They got a couple of weed shows where dudes, like, there's one dude, he just travels around the U.S. and smokes the best bud. There's another show they got called, like, Beer America, where some dude just travels around and drinks good beer, like, from microbreweries or some shit like that. And then they had this other show called Desus and Nero or something like that, just like a late night talk show with two black dudes just, I don't know, just kicking it with different guests and shit. They had Rick Ross on there. They had Neil deGrasse Tyson up there. They had Al Sharpton. I don't know, and I was like, how the fuck they get Neil deGrasse Tyson and Rick Ross? Like, Viceland must be putting some money behind these dudes to even pay for these type of celebrities to come on their show. And so, like, just to have that network approach me and say, look, man, we got a show. It seems like you're already doing what we want this show to be. The black, like they said, the hip hop Bob Ross. And I'm like, I can kind of dig it, as long as I ain't got to compromise myself too much. But you know what I'm saying? It's all good. If I hear back from them and they say, yo, we're gonna go push this show and we need you in New York next week, I'd be like, fuck you, job, and screw that shit. And if they send me an email and say, oh, sorry, we're gonna go in a different direction, we found a different artist, or the concept for the show has been scrapped or whatever, it's like, no big deal. Like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't really lost out on nothing anyway. And that's why I just keep thinking to myself, if I can just invest more into my own production, get a couple of people to help me, you know what I'm saying? I'll make this shit motherfucking just like a weekly series or some shit. And open up me a little gallery studio somewhere, doing like fucking teaching classes and shit. Just like little local art classes, teaching some art classes, doing a production show once or twice a week, and working on commissions, staying in galleries and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to do. Whatever it takes where this shit can become my career. And there are artists who do it, and I'm not trying to be some millionaire artist. I don't need to be wealthy. I just need to be able to pay my goddamn bills and my car insurance. Honestly. Keep some fucking food in my refrigerator. I'm good. Shit. Fuck all that shit. I don't need Italian leather shoes and silk suits. I don't need to drive no Lamborghini and live in no 10-bedroom mansion. If I can live comfortably like this, because I got on LeBron James shit now, I got a little nice shit. As long as I can live comfortable like this, Man, fuck that shit. Just from art? Oh, man.
Was actually that of a female, and that he escaped to either Antarctica or Argentina, but that's a whole other seminar.
Man, my girl's like camera shy, yo. I swear she is. Man, yeah, she, I don't know. Because people, you get trolls. Trolls are gonna say shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit don't fuck with me. Trolls can troll me all the time. I just laugh that shit out because it'd be funny. Motherfucker, you don't know me. You can say whatever you want to say about me. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time she was on camera, somebody said something, and I was like, she was like, really? Da, da, da. I was like, that's a troll for you. That's what they do. And then, like, now it's just, I don't know. Oh, I was gonna actually, let me see. Oh, man. I need to delete some of these emails. No, that's not it. What the? Yeah, what is wrong with my email? Yeah, I still got the email. Vice TV opportunity. Viceland art project is what it says. Viceland art project. This show is a formatted talk show with a twist. The host is an extremely talented artist in multiple media who can captivate an audience and guests with not only his talent but his personality and perspectives. Art brings people together, and our host will be able to shoot the shit with a variety of guests, taking the conversation down the rabbit hole and to random places. The host will have a very strong point of view about art, race, mankind, etc. Every rapper is an artist, but how much do they know about high art? In every episode of Hip Hop Bob Ross, the working title, our host, a contemporary fine artist, painter, sculptor, photographer with ties to the hip hop culture, works with a well-known rapper to create an original piece. It could be anything the rapper requests, a portrait, a landscape, a sculpture of his chihuahua. Sometimes the artists create while the guest watches. Sometimes they make art together. Locations will vary in every episode while they work. The two talk whatever they want, swapping life experiences, enlightening our audience on each other about culture, race, politics, and the roles. Their different arts playing it all. The show will be fun, provocative, challenging, totally real, and every episode will result in a creation of an amazing and unique artwork that embodies the passions, beliefs, humors of the artist and the rapper who made it. Let me know if you're interested, Travis, and we'll set up a video call to chat more about the opportunity. Hope to hear from you soon. And then this her name, casting producer at the company she works for, and all that stuff. And I was like, I don't know. So I was like, I don't even know what the fuck Viceland TV is, for one. So I looked first she contacted me on Facebook, which was weird. Like, she went to my Paintings by the Prince Facebook page, and she said, hey, my name is such and such, and I have an opportunity I think you'll be great for. I work for a production company. If you're interested, send me your email. So then I checked her Facebook, and she's a real person. And I checked the company she works for, and that's a real company. And I was like, okay. So I sent her my email, and that's when she sent me that email, and I was like, Viceland TV, like, what the fuck is this? So that's when I looked up that shit, and I was like, okay, that's real. And so I had a Skype interview, and I don't know, it went kind of awkward because I was super, super fucking nervous. Like, super nervous. Like real bad. But I don't know if that played a major factor or not. It's all good. Hey, it ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. You know what I'm saying? Cause this loped out fool still paying. And I'm unfadable, so please don't try to fade me. Now, back to the painting that hand. Every time you catch me, got my brush in the... Screw that. I'm gonna paint my way into a better situation. I'm telling you. I already feel it. And that's my focus. That's my vision. I can see that shit. I don't... You know what I'm saying? I don't know exactly how. It's just like, whatever I'm doing is working. And other people realize it too. Because you just telling me, like, motherfuckers sleeping on you. And I know that's all it is. It's motherfuckers just ain't peeping me out yet. So as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, somebody gonna see me. Viceland, some producer from Viceland saw me. And they stepped to me. It's all good. I'm gonna meet an owner of a gallery or some shit. And they gonna be like, you know what, Mr. Prince? I'm about to retire. You can have the gallery. Do whatever you want with it. Everything's paid up for the next 20 years. I'm gonna fall into some super blessing one day. Watch. That shit gonna be some super duper shit. And I'm be like, word? Damn near faint. Unfadable, so please don't try to fade me. Does the guy who smoked weed needs a co-host? I think it's just him and his camera guy. That's what people don't realize. Most of the time, the camera guy is the co-host. Like, yo, he be filming that shit. Like, get in the frame a little bit more. Yeah, it's good right there. Here, there you go. All right, 3, 2, 1, we're live. Shit. Yeah, it's called Weed America or something, Weed Nation or some shit like that, yo. Look up Viceland TV and then look up their, matter of fact, I'll do it right now, yo. Viceland TV, their show lineup is fucking crazy. It's like a bunch of real like edgy type shit where it's almost like they did to other people what they're trying to do to me, just like pick up people who already doing their own thing. Like, yo, you cool as shit. You're a real motherfucker. People need to see you. Here goes some money. Here, we gonna put you on TV. And it's like, it seems like all their shows are kind of like that, yo. Viceland shows. Alright, what would Diplo do? Modern Marvels. Oh, they got Modern Marvels on there now? I used to like that show. Oh, yeah, this the one show I did watch right here. Desus and Mero. Tyler, the Creator, got his show on there. They've been advertising that real big lately. Nuts and Bolts. This show called Fuck. That's delicious. They had more a different list than I seen last time. Abandoned, like some skateboarding show. American Boy Band, Balls Deep, Beerland. Yeah, that's the one. Black Market, Bonga Batit. Abdullah Shahid throws elaborate cannabis dinner parties with notable chefs preparing multi-course infused meals. Bon appetit. Talking about food with weed and that shit, yo. The Business of Life, Cyber War, Decimero, Drone Week, Dead Set on Life for $6 subs to the most sought after ingredients on the planet. Matty Matson eats it all with friends new and old. Fucking some fat dude just going around eating. Another skateboarding show. Flophouse. Hate Thy Neighbor. Jungle Town, King of the Road. They have tons of fucking shows up here. Needles and Pens. You know what I'm saying? Even if they give me a fucking season or two, just let me say fuck my job one time. I'll go up in there smoking one of these cigarettes. Oh, I ain't even made it that far yet. Fox, what's your dream gallery name? If I did have a gallery, put a pin in it. I'll get back to you. I ain't gonna answer that shit all willy-nilly like that. I never really thought about it. I just have the concept of having a gallery. Damn. Now you making me think a little harder now. I need to have all that shit pre-planned out. If I had my own gallery, what would I name
it?
it?
Throat. By the Hebrew reckoning, you might consider that part of the head proper. So let's, for the sake of argument, say that he's a candidate. And according to history, supposedly Hitler shot himself in the head. Although recent forensic evidence says otherwise, that the skull was actually that of a female and that he escaped to either Antarctica or Argentina, but that's a whole other seminar. So, when you look at other definitions,
goes into that hollow earth shit,
Scripture, especially the Old Testament, one of the phrases or one of the terms you hear most often is the Assyrian. The Assyrian in the last days. Which one of these guys is an Assyrian? That's all you got left by process of elimination. And then you look at Revelation 13:4, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, "Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" That is very similar to a statement in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Again, Gilgamesh being one of the stories about this character. Who can compare with kingliness? Who can say, like Gilgamesh, I am king? The concept there is, whoa, who's like this guy? And he was a giant. In fact, if you go back to the narrative in Genesis chapter 9, is 9 or 10? 9 or 10, I think it's 10, when it's talking about, 10, the Table of Nations, and talking about Nimrod. It says that Nimrod began to be a mighty one in the earth. That's what you get in King James. If you look up the word mighty one, it's Gabor, plural being Gaborim. That word can be translated as giant. In fact, in the Septuagint, it is translated as giant. It says Nimrod began to become a giant. Now, both definitions are correct, mighty one or giant. Both are applicable to the word Gabor or Gaborim. But David had mighty men too, didn't he? And David, he was out there with his mighty men out killing giants. So what's the difference? Well, this is where I see value in using something like the Septuagint, because you have the Hebrew scholars with their Hebrew language and their Hebrew context. They know the context of their history and everything. They translated the exact same word, Gabor or Gaborim, two different ways, depending on who we're talking about. When it was talking about Genesis 6, giants, it used gigantus, from which we get the word gigantic or giant. In the case of Nimrod, the same word, gigantus, word we use for giant. David's mighty men, ton dynakos, which just basically means strong, powerful warrior. So they knew the difference. The word began has a sexual connotation to it. It's used the same word that is translated as began in King James, began to become, is translated elsewhere as sexual defilement and prostitution. So looking at the text, it appears that through some sort of sexual ritual, I would say, he defiled himself, and it changed him in such a way that he began to become a giant. That's in the canonized text. When you look in the other texts, you see these characters are also giants, like Gilgamesh. So let's go with that premise. Let's compare Nimrod with Yeshua. Well, we know that Yeshua is the Son of God, right? And he was also manifest as flesh, as man, right? Gilgamesh was said to be 1/3 man and 2/3 God, 1/3 being 33.33%, and 2/3 being what? 6, okay, just checking. All right. Is Osiris, he was known as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That's a familiar title. As Osiris, Mithra, Tammuz, etc., his symbol was a cross. In the Egyptian, it'd be the Ankh, which the hoop in the Ankh represents resurrection. Interesting. He's depicted throughout multiple cultures as a dying and resurrecting figure. Of course, as Apollo and some of these other ones, as the Son of God, in that case, which is interesting because Zeus is referred to basically as Satan in the book of Revelation, where it talks about Pergamum, and they had the altar of Satan there. Well, the altar of Satan was the altar of Zeus that was in Pergamum, that was relocated during World War II to Berlin. Interesting. And Obama created a replica of the seat of Satan for his Denver, Colorado acceptance speech. And that's when everybody's like, he's the Antichrist, he's the Antichrist. Like, no. For some reason, I just have a hard time accepting the fact that the Antichrist needs a teleprompter to address the 6th graders. Not that impressed. Who is like that? Who can make war with that? Yeah, it's not working for me. Rules from elsewhere. And of course, we have Yahuwah in heaven and Osiris as the god of the dead ruling from the underworld in Hades. Then we have the Antichrist mentioned by name in Revelation chapter 9. Where does the beast come from? Open book test, right? We saw that, the bottomless pit. Beast comes from the bottomless pit. When is the bottomless pit opened? At the 5th trumpet, Revelation chapter 9. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, or messenger, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, and in the Greek hath his tongue Apollyon. Apollyon is just a derivative spelling of Apollo. Scripture just told you who the Antichrist is by name. Where he comes from, everything. Apollo. It's Apollo. Revelation 9:11. 9:11, interesting also. His number is 666. Well, we talked about his being 1/3 man. Man is a carbon-based organism, so it is the number of a man, right? 666. Well, man, just by default, by the carbon molecule anyway, would be 666. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. 2/3 God, 66.6%. This individual is known throughout the world by the depiction of an obelisk. I'm not going to get too graphic about why that is. Read the Osiris myth, you'll understand that. Essentially, it's a big phallic symbol. We have the largest phallic symbol in the world, set up in Washington, D.C., as a big middle finger sticking up to God. It just so happens to be 6,666 inches tall by 666 inches wide. Probably just a coincidence, I'm sure. Speaking of coincidences, we also have another interesting one here. The spinning globe, 666, and the strong delusion. Who sends the strong delusion? God does. Why? Go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. The coming of the lawless one, the beast, the Antichrist, will be, and it's interesting that he's called the lawless one too, isn't it? Sheila's always like, if we're not supposed to be keeping the Torah, why does God make a big deal out of a lawless one? And all of our holidays, quote unquote, beast feasts, go back to this guy. December 25th, dying, resurrecting sun god of antiquity, all that stuff goes back to this guy. The lawless one. The people who are doing the Christmas and Easter, Xmas and Ishtar Day, are the same people typically that are arguing against what we're talking about here this weekend. Well, that all goes back to the lawless one. The coming of the lawless one will be accompanied by the power of Satan. He will use every kind of power, including miraculous signs, lying wonders. Ooh, look at the Hubble pictures from the Space Telescope. And every type of evil to deceive those who are dying, those who refuse to love the truth that would save them. For this reason, for the reason of people not wanting to believe the truth, it says God will send them a powerful delusion so that they will believe the lie. Then all who have not believed the truth, but have taken pleasure in unrighteousness, will be condemned.
Trap house.
So much of the globe model.
He sees. I'm gonna have a black tie event at the gallery. You can see
this is about the lawless one.
Middle-aged white man. Henry, where are you
Lots
going
of
this
signs
evening?
and wonders,
I think
believe,
I'm going to go
come
check out
from
some
National
art
Geographic
at the Trap
But
House.
by way of review,
Where?
let's just go back and
Yes,
see
very,
what the
very
speakers have to say.
distinguished gallery
And since
downtown.
I'm the village idiot, I'll let
It's
Dr.
owned,
Michael
operated by
start
a
this off.
very, very talented young
Proverbs 8,
black
when he
artist.
established the
This is
heavens
Trap
as there,
House.
when he drew a circle on the face of the deep. Circular. He made firm the skies above, so on and so forth. Here's an interesting one. He has inscribed a circle on the face of the waters at the boundary.
I saw Julian and Wentworth last night at the Trap House. We had 2 glasses of champagne. Magnificent evening. Yes, there was a wonderful series on display. Just beautiful black breasts everywhere. I mean, amazing. The goddess mother of us all. She's wonderful. I loved it. I concur. Oh, man. Marvelous evening. The art was just exquisite. You know the gallery even served caviar. And see, this is the only thing though. See, I'm gonna have a pot gallery. That's what I keep thinking about, bro. A pot gallery? Once again, somebody did make a very good point. Do you want to smoke around paintings too much? Not really, you know, honestly. But just imagine a gallery. You know, you're probably gonna be at the gallery for. See, our first Friday shows are 6 to 9. You know, 6 in the evening, 9 o'clock. You know, a little 3 hours. You come out. Most people aren't gonna stay for the whole 3 hours. They might stay for an hour or so, or maybe just 2 hours. But let's say you come to my pot gallery, right? And we have some brownies, some cookies, you know, other little edibles, some gummy bears or whatever. You know, as soon as you get there, hey, you mingle real quick. Oh, can I get a glass of Chardonnay and one of those white chocolate macadamia cookies, please? You sip on your little motherfucking wine and you eat your cookie. 30 minutes later, you like, yo, I'm gonna buy this painting. Honey, where's my wallet? Get my credit card. I'm buying this painting right now. This shit is amazing. This is beautiful. Yeah, that shit would be nice, yo. A pot gallery. Just imagine that shit. Looking at art, eating edibles. Man, when them edibles kick in, it's like, wow. It's like I didn't see that one little line in that painting earlier. It really brings the whole thing together. Yo, you need lots of chairs, yo. Nah, they gonna be an age limit on that shit. You're like, man, if you over 50, you can't get these edibles, man. You might, like you say, you gonna have to be sitting down. You know what I'm saying? 1 brownie per person. I'm not trying to have people not be able to leave the gallery. Y'all can't stay the night in here, man. Y'all not spending the night. Don't sit up here and eat 2 and 3 brownies and tell me you can't drive home. I ain't playing that shit. I think I'm having a stroke. Nigga, you high. You had 2 glasses of wine, you ate 2 brownies, and a half of her cookie. You tripping, man. You need to sit your ass down so we know you're not. I'm not calling you no cab. What the fuck you get, man? Damn. I told you the brownies were strong. Oh, I'm hungry. I'm gonna just have 2 of them. Don't eat 2 of them brownies. I'm trying to tell you, man. Dumbass. All right, guys. I'm hungry. I made about 2 hours. And my girl ordered some pizza a little while ago. I'm about to go get me a piece of pizza and get on some Ghost Recon Wildlands. I know that's right. We are what we are. That's the way it's gonna be. Alright, so I did make a little more progress on this piece right here. Actually started filling in her tattoo. Getting that thing looking nice. I filled in the edges of his beard a little bit. Alright, cool, Fox. Yeah, I'm definitely about to go grab something to eat. Once again, man, you guys already know, man, I appreciate every time y'all stop in to hang out with me, chill with me for a little while I work on these paintings. Still got the next couple days off, so there's a good chance. What time is it? It's 9. I don't know. Y'all know how I be, man. If I go to bed early, I'll wake up at fucking 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll come back in here and start painting. But if I don't do some early morning shit like that, I'll probably just get up early as I can, hit the gym for a little while, and then as soon as I get home from the gym, I'll be in here tomorrow again, still working on this piece. I think I was going to try to start another painting, but I think I'm going to just go ahead and work my way through this piece until it's complete, and then I'll start another canvas, because I could probably get this done in my time that I'm off, like in the next 3 days. If I'm in here diligently and really work on this thing, because their skin tones are so similar, they're almost the same color basically, you know what I'm saying, and there is a lot of negative space, these really dark tones, these shadow areas where it's just black. That gives me some getaway time, and the background is basically the same color, so that gives me some getaway time. I don't know why I thought it would take me longer to do this piece, but now that I'm looking at it, it's like I don't see that many more hours in it. Maybe another 10 hours probably. I can maybe have this piece done in like 10 hours. Which is good, I just posted a finished paint, you know what I'm saying, on Instagram. That shit be booming. Oh shit. Oh man. I might go to bed early. Probably eat a couple pieces of pizza and take my ass to sleep. Alright, guys. Y'all already know, man. Thanks again, yo. Peace. Until next time.